Hi again then guys, and so we've got another Special Projects replica / custom style build for you today. And this time it's not a strictly speaking replica, as it usually would be, because the parameters of the racing versions of this particular car, which is of course the Ferrari F40, can't really be reached on the game, because they are a lot lighter than we can make the car. So instead of a strictly speaking replica, we're going for a more in the style of kind of build with this car. And basically we've turned the F40 into a GT1 style racing machine of the 90s to go up against stuff like the Lister Storm, the XJ220, that kind of thing. It's very competitive for its PP. It still requires a slightly more experienced driver to get the best out of. This is not a car I would recommend for beginners. It's one of the trickier cars in the game to get to handle well, really, but this tune does do that. So, as far as the visuals, obviously all I've done is painted it white and fitted black wheels. So we'll go over to the mechanical garage for the tune setup, of course, and then take it out to the track to see what it can do. So as far as the mechanical setup on this particular build, I've opted for racing soft tyres. Obviously that's down to personal preference though. You want your racing brakes obviously. And as far as suspension, we've got the ride height as low as possible. Springs we've stiffened up to 1025 and 1825. Dampers to 5. Anti-roll all the way up to 7. Pretty high camber on this one of 4. With neutral toe. For the gearbox, we've got an auto setting of 230. Then for the individual gears, we've got 4.1, 2550, 1760, 1290 and 1000 with a final drive of 2.9. For the diff, the lowest initial torque, 60 on acceleration and 20 for braking. As far as the power, we do have an oil change, and as you can see we've got the stage 3 engine tune, sports computer, race exhaust and intake tuning. As far as the weight, you want the full weight loss package and a pretty hefty but also pretty necessary 191 kilo ballast, which we've put all the way to the front of the car to improve the weight ratio on the vehicle and also to give it very similar specs to an actual GT1 car and also bring it up to a pretty competitive 575 PP level. Any higher than that and it starts being less competitive, because even with this tune it's still not the easiest of cars to drive. Any lower than that and you're just wasting its potential. But obviously that's just my opinion. So that's it for the mechanical setup. Now let's finally take it out to the track to see what it can do. Now, as I said, even with this GT1 style tune setup, this car is still not for beginners. I mean, if you're a beginner or a less experienced driver, you can still try out the tune, of course, and it will teach you about more challenging vehicles. But to get the best out of it, you do need to have at least some experience of driving more tricky vehicles. If you've never driven vehicles like the Chizeta V16T, Lancia Stratos, Cobra, or this, the F40, then you're not really going to be prepared for getting the best out of this car. If, however, you have driven those types of vehicles in the past, then you'll be pretty well set for driving this car. Now, the handling is vastly improved. The weight distribution makes a massive difference on this car to its stock form, because the F40, as brilliant as it was for the time, is not an easy car to drive compared to many other supercars. So this tune makes it a lot more competitive. As far as straight line performance, well, it's a Ferrari, so top end they're not all that strong, but mid-range and low end they have very good acceleration. The handling, as I said, is much better. There's tons of grip. As far as the brakes, I would recommend braking smoothly and in a measured manner. This is not a car that you want to slam on the brakes with, because the back end will run away with itself and jackknife into the corner. So you want to make sure that you, as I said, use your brakes in an even, measured manner. Apply them lightly and gradually increase the power of the brakes as you enter the corner. Keep it smooth, basically. The smoother your driving line is with this car, the better it will perform. The car does not like being thrown into corners. That probably sounds like a downside, but sometimes being smooth and steady is faster overall. So, if you decide to use this tune, obviously I hope you find it fun and potentially competitive if you do decide to use it for racing. And if you'd like to keep up with tunes like this as soon as they come out, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.